This is Dumbed Down Life number 11.
And we have a full complement of presenters this week. We have Doug. Hello, Doug.
Hello, Darren. Hello, Lance.
Hello, Doug. Hello, Darren.
Okay. We'll do it like that then, shall we?
I got what he was doing.
We ought to script this, I tell you. We have all this unruly behaviour.
Or just sack everything. Lance.
Right. First topic is my topic, and it's the only thing that I have scheduled to say for the entire show, so I shall say this and then go to bed. Pet peeves. I've got a specific peeve in mind, which is badly or inappropriately placed traffic lights. I was reminded of this this morning when I drove to work, and there appears to be a new set of traffic lights going onto the end of a slip road. Now, normally, I'd consider that a slip road would be where you're coming up to speed, you're looking over your shoulder at what's coming and wanting to sort of merge in with the traffic. Quite what they're thinking of with these traffic lights, I honestly don't know. You seen anything like that, Lance?
I can't say I've seen it. See, the traffic lights are right at the end of the slip road, so you have to stop right on the sort of the lane going into the motorway.
Yeah, it's They don't look like normal traffic lights. They're quite a lot higher up, and they've got a big yellow sort of board around them, as if it's some kind of a new idea for traffic control. So quite how they're going to work, I don't know. But giving you something additional to look for when you're approaching a busy junction just doesn't seem like a smart idea to me.
But surely that's more dangerous than helpful, because if they're on red and you have to stop, when they then go to green, how are you going to get speed up to be up to speed of the flow of the motorway?
Yeah. Oh, yes, Doug?
Thank you. I was just going to say, I mean, when you learn to drive during your driving lessons, you're taught that slip roads are there specifically to merge, as you say, Darren. So you're going to, you're going to get new people. They're going to be taught to merge, and then suddenly they're going to have this whole new traffic light system. It does seem dangerous.
But they do seem to sort of change the rules of the road when they want to. I mean, the M4 seems to be a particular stretch of road that they use for a lot of sort of testing. This was the place where they also put a bus lane in the outside lane. So you've got the regular lane, the overtaking lane, the overtaker's lane, and then the bus lane, which again seems to go completely against what should be happening. Quite why they did it that way.
Because you're spending most of your time undertaking buses.
Yeah. But it's a separate lane, it's a solid white line, so you're not actually undertaking anyone, you're simply passing them on a different road almost. But perhaps that's what it is. It might just be the fact that it's the M4 and that is a particular stretch of road that they use for testing.
But I mean,
I've not seen this anywhere else.
The bus lane thing seems bloody stupid as well, though, because then that means when the bus wants to get off at the next junction, they've got to cut across 3 lanes of very fast-moving traffic.
This particular stretch, it's a 3, maybe 4 mile stretch of road where there is no turnings, and the end of the motorway is where it all merges into sort of 2 lanes from the 4. Is it 4 or is it 3? It might even be 3, to be honest. I have to think about that. Down by Hammersmith, it all sort of merges in a very peculiar way. It certainly is helpful because taxis, buses and also motorbikes are allowed to use that lane. So in the morning when the M4 is absolutely chock-a-block solid, it used to be really nice on the motorbike to go down that outside lane and just sort of zoom past them all. But I'll have to keep an eye on what's happening with that. I actually sent an email to the Highways Agency to say, what on earth are you doing? Because you can search on the Highways Agency website and it tells you all about the plans for different road systems and that, and there's no mention of this, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But as I find out, I shall be sure to blog about it or maybe even mention it here again later.
Well, I don't have this problem, you see, because I live in a country with a perfectly sensible road system where you can turn right on a red light and you can overtake in any lane you damn well please. So it's not really an issue over here. And another good thing about this country is that apparently speed limits are merely advisories. They're not actually rules, and indicators are just there to make your car look pretty.
And an MOT? What's an MOT?
Well, we actually do have inspections over here, and unlike the UK, if you buy a new car in the UK, you can go 3 years without an MOT. Well, over here, even with a brand new car, you have to have it inspected every year.
But isn't the inspection sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels good?
No, it's pretty in depth. I think it probably depends state to state, but certainly here in North Carolina, it's pretty in depth.
Yeah, in Texas, if you've got the bullhorns on the front, you're okay. You're good to go.
That's it, and the shotgun rack in the back.
That's it. Yeah.
We're not going to question that, are you?
I think with me, my biggest sort of road pet peeve is roundabouts or people not indicating or using the correct lanes in roundabouts.
Absolutely.
Which isn't a problem in
they don't have them,
again,
no.
because roundabout.
Actually,
the one that frustrates me the most. Sorry, Doug.
I was just going to say we do. There are places that do have roundabouts, and Americans have absolutely no clue how to use them.
The one that bugs me the most is when you're sitting in your lane at a roundabout, obviously giving way to people on the right, and somebody comes from your immediate right and turns left. Absolutely no indicators, none whatsoever, so you're left there like an absolute prat with a big gap of road where you could have pulled out if somebody had been kind enough to move their left hand sort of 3 or 4 centimetres and moved a little stick. It just really does infuriate me.
I think one of my pet peeves is people who are on a long straight road, because obviously, particularly here in the States, we have lots of roads that just seem to go on forever, and that they seem completely incapable of maintaining a steady speed. They can't hold it. And the worst thing is, 99% of American cars have cruise control, and yet they can't maintain a steady speed. They'll do 75, and then they'll slow down to 70, and you're sat on cruise control, and you want to go past them, and it drives me nuts. And then when you get alongside them, they suddenly notice that there's somebody there, and they speed up.
Speed up, yeah. See, the nerd in you is probably the same as the nerd in me. If I've got cruise control and I'm on a straight road, I'm bloody using the cruise control.
Yeah, damn right. Particularly, here, like, take the drive to the mountains from here. You get on one road, which is I-40, which goes all the way from Wilmington in North Carolina across to California. You get on I-40, and that's it. You're on I-40 for 4.5 hours until you get to the mountains. And it's one road, so, cruise control. Slap it on, sit back, put the radio on, and forget your driving.
Fall asleep, no problem.
Absolutely.
I've done similar driving all the way across Iowa, and all you see is corn for like 3.5, 4 hours. And some of the towns that you pass through are so small that you're entering the town on one side of the town. And you just left it
Used to be a 1-horse town, but they sold it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sort of thing, and you really sort of getting the whole Matrix feeling, because it just see. Field of corn, pig pen. Field of corn, pig pen. Hypnotising. Right, we shall go into our first song, and unlike normally, we will not be announcing this song because we're trying to surprise one of our presenters. I really don't think it's going to be worth it, to be honest, but here we go. And this is the mystery song.
Shook 'em all down, so put a little grease on
So a few weeks ago we played a song and Doug happened to mention that it sounded a lot like the Black Crows. Well, that was in fact the Black Crows and Goodbye Daughters of the Revolution. It seems that the Black Crows have gone pod safe.
Yeah, and commercial safe as well by the sound of it.
Not impressed then, Doug?
It was all right. It was okay. It didn't rock me.
Oh. Well, that kind of really fell flat on its face, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry to shoot you down in flames.
Right, we've had some feedback, guys.
We have.
We've had
2 lots.
We've had 2 lots?
Your lot first. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, you want me to do mine first?
You can do yours first.
Wow. Okay. Dave, a friend of mine from Live Journal, has been listening to the show. He's not been listening from when it started. I'll read you the email. It says, "Hiya chaps, rather than starting from the episode that was live at the time, I started listening to the show. I went back to DDL1 and I'm slowly working my way through the episodes. Just wanted to let you all know that I love the podcast. It can be quite embarrassing when I burst into laughter when I'm at the gym. But hey, it keeps me amused."
Fantastic.
So is he in the UK?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's up in Yorkshire. It's somebody that I met through Sam.
Thanks for listening, Dave, and pass us on to all your friends.
And he goes on to say that any time we're short of a presenter, give him a call.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think
that seems we've had 2 comments from listeners who both want to be part of the show, because the only other comment we had was from Ben, and he ended up being a presenter. Sorry, Doug?
They're not expecting to be paid, are they?
Well, we'll pay him half of what we get, shall we?
Double.
Yeah, and that's non-negotiable, Dave, if you're listening.
Yeah, and my feedback was sort of a follow-up from previous feedback. We sent out a link last week to Mark's webpage because I couldn't find a link to his podcast. Apparently he doesn't actually have a page specifically for the podcast yet, but he wanted us to post the XML feed link, which is the technical stuff that you stick into your iTunes or whatever so that you can subscribe and download. Apparently he's had some technical problems with his microphone, which we can sympathise with.
Never stopped us.
And oh yeah, and so he's hoping to get a new microphone and to get his podcast running again. So I'll put a link into the show notes, giving you the feed link as well as the website link again, so that you can listen to Mark's podcast.
Fantastic.
Lance, I believe. Oh, are we doing the regular context stuff, or should we just leave that to the
leave
end?
it to the end if you want.
Let's leave it to.
We'll leave it to the end. So. Let's leave it to the end. So, you 2 have got something else planned for number 5?
Joke of the week? That's not funny.
So Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, they're going on a camping trip. After a good meal and a bottle of wine, they lay down for the night and went to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes awoke and nudged his faithful friend. "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson replied, "I see millions and millions of stars." "What does that tell you?" Holmes asked. Watson pondered for a minute. "Astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are small and insignificant. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes was silent for a minute and then spoke. "Some bastard stole our tent."
And this is going to be a regular thing.
Hopefully, yeah.
Do you know, the funny thing was I could see that coming halfway through the joke and I'm trying not to laugh. That was good, Lance. I like that one.
Thank you.
Joke of the week? That's not funny.
I wasn't given time to prepare for this, so...
And that's funny in itself.
See, the whole secrecy act behind what we're going to be putting in the show, kind of backfired on that one. You 2 of you sort of colluding to do the joke. But I'm sure I should come up with something for next week.
In a world ruled by stupidity, stifled by mediocrity, and swamped in idiocy, 3 brave new heroes stepped into the breach. 3 brave souls who, quite frankly, made it all a damn sight worse.
Some call them nerds. I call them hot. Join Daz, Doug, and Lance for Dumbed Down Life every week at ddl.podshow.com.
Right, so apparently there's been a media blackout, and the British press have not been allowed to mention the fact that Prince Harry's actually been over in Iraq.
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. He's been over in Afghanistan.
Unless that was a really good media blackout and he's actually been in Iraq.
No, he's been in Afghanistan. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the last time he was due to go over, there was so much publicity that they had to sort of recall him because it was too well known that he was there and he would be a major target and a danger to his unit. But apparently he's been over there, and an American website has leaked the fact that he's over there, so it's now sort of public knowledge. But what I wanted to sort of very briefly mention was that he's given an interview now about being over there, and he's said that I haven't really had a shower for 4 days. I haven't washed my clothes for a week. It's very nice to be sort of a normal person for once. I think it's about as normal as I'm going to get. So the monarchy's impression of the Great Unwashed is that we are actually the Great Unwashed.
You know, of course, that this is actually it is a tiny part of a much bigger program, bigger initiative here in the UK to try and get all ginger people out to Afghanistan.
So Catherine Tate's next, is she?
Oh yes, next boat out there. If there's not a boat, then we'll throw her. Get her to walk. And then that Simply Red guy, and yeah. Oh
God, he can go. Yeah, absolutely.
Any idea if he has a rank? Every night.
Well, he does if he hasn't washed for a few weeks. I don't know. I'll have a quick brief look, see if I can find out. I know he's serving with the Household Cavalry. And he's serving alongside a Gurkha regiment. Sorry, you are?
Isn't that his mum's thing? Isn't the Household Cavalry the guys that do the look after Buckingham Palace?
The changing of the guard, I believe they are, yeah.
They all belong to his mum, don't they?
Well, technically, yes.
Yeah, but they're her pets, aren't they? With the bearskin hats and all of that.
Or grandmother, rather. Because I don't think his mum does much.
No, that's true. Apart from still being in the papers an awful lot.
Oh, awful lot.
Yes.
I have a similar sort of related story. Have you heard about this Osama bin Laden gentleman?
No.
Supposed to be extremely proud of the fact that he's arranged so many attempts at terrorism, and the MI5 have brought him in, and it turns out that he was training people for terrorism attacks by taking them on camping trips and going paintballing. Now, personally, I think it probably would have given it away if they'd have gone to paintball, right, with a bucket of Dulux, stood in the middle of a crowd, said, "In the name of Allah," and just poured it over themselves. Whoa! You're training to be a suicide bomber, aren't you?
Oh, good God.
It must be very difficult to actually train to be a suicide bomber.
Yeah, because how do you get it wrong? Oh, I didn't die.
Here we're going to give an example of how to do a suicide bomb. Bang! That's wiped out half the class. Right, now the other half. What's going on?
Oh, good God.
You've got mention here about the BBC iPlayer. Do you want to go on to that one? You think?
One more. I've got one more before that. Again,
you got one
I
more.
have. It's a very, very short thing. I don't know if you're aware, but today was E-Day. I'll take it from the deathly silence that you weren't aware that today was E-Day.
No.
Yeah. E-Day was a day where we were all supposed to be a little bit more ecologically conscious and turn off our lights and turn all the TVs off standby and try to reduce the amount of electricity we use as a nation. And on the BBC site, and also there's a link to the sort of home site of the E-Day organisation, they've had a counter running all day that shows the average usage of a normal sort of working day in megawatts of energy, and they've had running alongside that the current usage. And it's finished now, and the final statistics are in, and the difference is 0.1% from a normal day. So
now 0.1%, because we've seen this in the past where, like on the day of the cup final and stuff like that, the amount of kettle use after the game is more than 0.1%. So that doesn't sound to be terribly.
It wasn't, sensible. Because it was 0.1% more than usual.
More.
That can't be good.
It's all the people looking at the website, wasn't
it? So not only did it not really make much of a difference, the difference it did make was worse than usual. And it goes on, there's a statement at the bottom that says, E-Day did not succeed in cutting the UK's electricity demand. The drop in temperature between Wednesday the 27th of February and Thursday the 28th of February probably caused this as a result of more lights and heating being left on than were originally predicted. The National Grid refined their assessments based on actual weather data during Thursday afternoon, but I am afraid that E-Day did not achieve the scale of public awareness or participation needed to have a measurable effect. I will do my best to learn the relevant lessons for next time. Thank you to everyone who helped me or left something off, especially as their contribution to E-Day. And this Leave It Off experiment. Please enjoy E-Day's solution, video and science sections, which all worked well. Warmest regards, Matt.
Now, what I'd be interested to read about, and this is probably linked to that website somewhere, there seems to be a trend now to have these motion sensors next to lamps, so that if nobody moves for 15 to 20 minutes, it turns the lamp off. Now, with a standard tungsten filament, I can understand that being a saving. With some of the new quick start bulbs, I can understand that being a saving. But it was always my understanding that the majority of the power that's consumed by a fluorescent strip is in creating that initial spark. So if you're doing that now every 20 minutes in a room that's moderately used, I wonder if that works out to be less economical than simply leaving the damn thing on all day. I'll have to have a look at that website and see if there's any figures in there about that, because that seems to be sort of a false
I think it's more sort of like turning your telly off standby and all of that sort of thing, but you know.
Yeah, when it's a long term, it's worth doing, but I really can't see with some of these that.
Do you guys shut your computers off at night, or do you just leave them on sort of standby? So it just sort of shuts down, but it's there, you know.
I shut mine down every night.
I turn mine off, but they're all still sort of plugged in, so there's still some power is somehow getting through to the mouse to keep the mouse illuminated,
even though your computer's turned off fully
overnight and things like that. Even though the computer's turned off fully, the only way I can stop the mouse from glowing is to actually turn the socket off at the wall. So there's some sort of a circuitry in there that's not going off entirely.
No.
So it's not very helpful. Okay, and we have the next piece of music. This is from Bobby Ricci. And it's called Unhackable.
Don't look at me, jerk. I hate when people watch me sing. Everyone is so vulnerable on their PC, except for me. The World Wide Web is so insecure, it's kinda sad, but I'm so glad. I am firewalled in every single way. Nerds can't bring me down, and I run antivirus every single day. Yes, nerds can't bring me down. No, no, ain't gonna bring me down today. To all you noobs, you're delirious. Your browser blows. You're so exposed. Yeah. You're trying hard to fix that awful mess that used to be your precious PC till you let that virus in. But I'm unhackable no matter what they say. Nerds can't bring me down. And my phishing filter told me that this is not eBay. Yes, nerds can't bring me down. Oh no, ain't gonna bring me down today. You got your MySpace hacked again. You got your MySpace hacked. You're spam commenting your friends. You're wondering when it's gonna end. It's format time again. You got a blue screen in your face. Your PC's a big disgrace. Viruses keep coming back. You probably should have bought a Mac. But I am firewalled in every single way. Nerds can't bring me down. Oh no, and I've got Spyware Blaster chilling in my tray. Yes, nerds can't bring me down. Oh no, ain't gonna bring me down today. Ooh, ain't gonna bring me down today. Ain't gonna bring me down today.
And that was Bob Ricci with Unhackable, who sounded amazingly like Weird Al Yankovic.
Do you know, the same thought went through my head.
Yeah, doesn't he just? But I like the line, nerds can't bring me down, because that leads so nicely into my next topic, or my first topic today, actually, which is about nerds. What qualifies being a nerd? Well, if you remember back in school, now personally I never was really a nerd, but I certainly knew plenty of them, and still do, Lance.
Thank you.
Back in high school, you'd always find that nerds would be the ones who would be picked on by the jocks, and they would be beaten up and all the sorts of nasty things that goes along with nerddom. But I started thinking about it the other day, watching a program on TV where you had a guy who would qualify as a jock, therefore supposedly not a nerd. And he was being asked sports trivia questions, and he got every single one right. So, my thought was this: surely if a guy can answer questions like, I don't know, who had the runs batted in record for the 2006 season, or who scored the most touchdowns between 2007 and 2008, and he can answer them, then surely that makes him a nerd as well, because a nerd surely is somebody who has an unnatural obsession with things. What do you think?
There are different sorts of nerd. A sports nerd is going to be more accepted by jocks. However, if it was a sports nerd that wasn't a jock...
But surely they'd still be a nerd. And, you know, the whole thing with jocks is that they like to beat up nerds. And surely they're nerds, they're just nerds in a different way. They're sports nerds.
Yeah, it's the definition of nerd, like you say, is somebody who has an unnatural obsession with a given subject, and like you say, him being able to sort of reel off those facts and figures makes him quite nerdy. I'm in complete agreement with you.
Well, certainly though, with something as complicated as American football, being a nerd with regards to the statistics and the capabilities of players in different leagues, and especially if you're likely to be playing in these leagues, it's almost essential. You need to know the strengths and weaknesses of the players that you're playing against. But I think by the time you're at that level, you've gone beyond sort of bullying and school and nerddom. So it's almost a requirement of the profession that you have to know this sort of statistics.
Well, but surely by the same token, to be a level 3 dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons, you need to know the weaknesses of your opponent, and you need to know the ins and outs of the game.
But wouldn't a dungeon master sort of group of kids beat up on one of their own if he was quoting sports references? It's you fear those that are different to you.
But this is the point. I mean, why, for example, if a guy can tell you who scored the winning goal in the 1983 FA Cup final and how many people were in the stadium at the time, why is that acceptable? But if somebody else can say what year Final Fantasy VI was released, that it makes him a nerd. Why would the Final Fantasy guy come in for more ridicule than the football guy? He's still a nerd.
Because football is more common. So football nerddom is the acceptable, because it's far more common. The technical. This is where we sort of going between nerds and geeks. I would have thought that geeks was more of a technical reference. You don't tend to get a sports geek.
Well, I always think as geeks being nerds without a social life.
Absolutely. But
I think
the
we
point,
should be changing the name of the show to the Three.
if you recall, one of the very first suggestions of the name for the show was Three Geeks and a Podcast. But no, I mean, I seriously think that they are nerds as well. It's just more acceptable, but the fact remains that they definitely are still nerds, which is sort of the topic: who is and who isn't a nerd. Yeah, I think they are still nerds. Absolutely.
Okay, well that's that one done. Just before I wrap up, I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I was reading in a copy of Entertainment Weekly yesterday that apparently they're doing a new film that's starting shooting this year and is due for release in April 2009 called The Boat That Rocked. And it's being done by Richard Curtis, and it's a movie about Radio Caroline.
Yes, I did hear about that, actually.
Now, interestingly enough, it's supposedly a typical Richard Curtis movie, who, of course, did films like Love Actually and the such. And what it's more focusing on is a love triangle between two radio DJs and an American woman. But Bobby was telling me about it, my wife, and she was explaining that it's about a famous American DJ. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, this is an English radio station, you know? I mean, of course, it was the ultimate... It's the radio station that essentially gave us the modern radio stations we have in the UK now, when the BBC was still quite stuffy and uncomfortable with anything untoward.
Wasn't Radio 1 created specifically to combat the rise of pirate radio?
Yeah, I believe so. I think so, certainly. So it'll be interesting to see how much of the movie is about the history of British radio and Radio Caroline, and how much of it is a sappy love story.
Starring Colin Firth as Noel Edmonds.
Well, actually, it's at the moment, one of the guys, Philip Seymour Hoffman, is pegged to play one of the American DJs, this famous American DJ. And Bill Nighy is also pegged to be in it as well. So, I mean, with those two in it, it's bound to be a good movie because they're both superb actors.
Yeah, Bill Nighy had to be in it. It was going to be Bill Nighy or one of the group that appears in everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny Walker, the Radio 2 DJ, Johnny Walker, he started out on pirate radio, and I can just imagine Bill Nighy playing a Johnny Walker type character.
Do you know who I think Bill Nye might end up playing? I can't remember his name. Who's the DJ that the Smashy and Nicey character is based on?
Tony Blackburn.
Tony Blackburn. I bet you 10 to 1 Bill Nye plays Tony Blackburn.
Fluff Freeman. It's Tony Blackburn and Alan Freeman, isn't it, that Smashy and Nicey.
But when these lads were out on the boat, they were a lot younger than Bill Nye is now.
Yeah, I suppose so. You have a valid point there. But then again, I mean, this is, the movie business. That often doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. So we shall keep an eye out for that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, and on to the contact information. So, Lance, what is our email address?
It's ddl.podshow@googlemail.com.
And Doug, the web address would be?
ddl.podshow.com.
Now, I'm actually going to leave the telephone number off for the moment because, again, this is some feedback from Mark. Apparently it's not working, which is, of course, why we've not been getting any mail. Apparently it's constantly engaged.
That's all those millions of callers.
Hard to believe.
That's all those people trying to get through to tell us what a great show we have.
Absolutely. But if you care to know exactly when we're recording, when we're putting this up, you can subscribe to Twitter and then add the user Dumbed Down Life, and you'll get updates every time we put something out. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
I'm all done.
Yeah, I think I'm all spent as well.
Okay, and so, until next week, thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.